Hey, what's up, guys? This message is in reply to a inbox I got. So, this quick video response goes out to Grant. Um, I guess you are starting up a mouse breeding project, and you asked for some advice. What you got going on so far, bud, in your video is good. You got a 1 to 2 ratio with your male and females. You can even start with the pair, bro. You don't have to go that big, but if you want to start off, 1 to 2 is awesome. You can keep it that way because you will get pretty quickly overrun. Two females producing can start producing about 15 to 20 babies a pop every month, or like every 2 months. So be very careful with your breeding. Be a little selective when you put the females back in with the male if you want to stay small scale because you can get quickly overrun. Trust me, they do start pretty fast. As far as your setup, everything is good. The only thing I would honestly recommend for you to probably do is change to a more affordable bedding. I'm not sure if you're using like that Carefresh stuff or whatever. You said it's some kind of like a cardboard or paper bedding. If you're buying that stuff, I know it can get pretty expensive, so you can always go with kiln dried pine. I know people say a lot of negative about pine, but I myself, and I'm sure if you go on YouTube and watch other rodent breeders, you'll see that a lot of people use pine with no ill effects. But it has to be kiln dried. If it's not kiln dried pine, you will have problems. So with that in mind, I would just change to that just to save you some money because they will get stinky. As far as your ventilation goes, you do need some more ventilation if you can possibly even get some I know it's like hardware cloth or it's like 1/4 inch mesh. It comes in a roll. You can usually buy them in the hardware aisle at Walmart, or you can find it at Home Depot or Lowe's a lot easier. And honestly, it's typically cheaper at Home Depot from what I found, but I don't know what your area is like. So I definitely would get some of that mesh. I'd cut a small slit in the top, probably about a good 6 inches long by no more than 3 inches, 4 inches wide. You can make it bigger, of course, if you'd like, and then just get yourself a couple of, like maybe four of those big bolts. They're like, I think, 1/2 inch bolts are really thick bolts, and then get a nut and a washer for that. So you can make 4 holes in the corner of that hardware cloth and then just put the little nut and the washer on there. If you look at one of my mouse breeding videos, you'll see how I did that with the top, and you can do that yourself. It makes for great ventilation. A lot of people will use cross ventilation from one side of the enclosure to another. You can also put holes all along the top. I find that it doesn't really do that great of a deal unless you actually have moving air. If you have a fan or something, some kind of ventilation in the room. Otherwise, it's not really going to do that great of a job. It's probably going to make it a little more stuffy inside of there, if anything. So top ventilation is definitely a must. You got to get some more in there. Um, but as far as everything's going, you're doing pretty good. I'm not sure what kind of food you're using, but what I've found is you can always add a little bit of holistic dog food, or very few people have used cat food. I don't recommend cat food at all. I really don't even recommend going on a staple of dog food just because I've read a lot of stuff about it causing tumors because of the increased protein content. But I haven't had any ill effects, and I use it in my mix. I usually do my own mix. I'll go to like different local pet stores or the dollar store and get a cheap box of puppy chow. That usually does pretty good. Or dog chow. It's not holistic, but I mean, for the price and for what it supposedly contains, it's pretty good. And I've never seen it come to any ill effects. All my rat puppies, all my mouse pinkies do really well. So I find that actually adding a little more protein helps to boost up the girls and keep them stronger during breeding and during milking. It does take a lot out of the females to produce and then raise that many babies, especially when they really start going. In the beginning, you're probably only going to get about 5 babies or 8 babies, and then it'll go up by like 2 or 3 pinkies every single time she gives birth. and then you'll start getting the big production after about maybe litter 4 or 5. So be patient. It does take some time. Um, Also, you're not going to probably have babies for about 2 to 3 months. It just takes them time to get acclimated. They got to actually establish a hierarchy. So the females will become one dominant, one more passive. So once they establish that and everything, and they get to know each other better, they will definitely start to breed. And you'll find some pretty interesting things once you start to breed. I would have another maternity bucket or some kind of small, little sterilite bin that's maybe half the size of what you got going on right now, or even smaller. Just something small to pull a big fat pregnant mom out and let her have her babies by herself. Because I'm noticing that all three of your mice are pretty large already, and when they're that big and you start them off, even when they start to colonize, they'll probably kill the babies if they're together. So you want to be careful with that. When I started with a really young pair that was probably barely breeding age. They were still freshly weaned, and I kept them together. A lot of people advise not to do this, but with mice, it's actually better if you start them breeding as soon as possible with the girls. Um, it's just better that way. They produce better. At least that's what I found. Some people argue and say you shouldn't do it till 4 to 6 months. I found that if you do it within a couple weeks of their first estrus cycle, they actually get going better. So yeah, this video has been pretty long and I've been blabbing quite a bit, but I hope that helps you out, bud. That is about as much information as I can give you right now offhand. I'll do a update video on my rodents, and I'm also going to be uploading a video by tonight or tomorrow with an entire collection update. So you'll see a little bit of my setup there, definitely, and then I'll do a more in-depth update so that you guys, anybody out there, can get a little more tips. Since it's been about a year since I started the rodent breeding thing for my own reptiles and really have done it seriously. So I'll give you my tips and tricks because it saved me a ton of money. So I hope you take away from this. I hope it's helped you out. And if you need any other advice, please feel free to send me another message and or just comment or whatever, or video respond. All right, bud. Thanks a lot for tuning into my videos and subscribing, by the way. Give us some more updates. I would love to see more videos and see what you got going on over there. All right, man. Later.